Hey, what's up guys? This is Mr. Winters. In this video, I'm going to teach you how to make one of these pencil holders. And I'll take you through it step by step. All right, our first step is to get a piece of wood that is 3/4 of an inch thick, 4 inches this way, 4 inches this way. I already have some of these cut out, so you can find these back on the back stand. First step in this project is to put a chamfered edge around this. We're going to use the routing table and a chamfer bit. Don't assume that there's already a chamfer bit inside of this. There's a lot of different bits that go in a router. So if you're not sure, ask me and I'll help you change this out. I'm going to run this board around all 4 edges. The next step is to figure out how long these boards need to be. So I'm going to take the piece of wood I made and I'm going to measure from the corner of that edge where we made that little chamfer bit, from this corner to this corner. So for mine, I'm measuring, I get 3.5 inches. So I need to cut 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14. I need to cut 14 little boards that are 3.5 inches wide. We're using wood for this that is 3/4 of an inch thick this way and 1/2 inch this way. I'm going to use this stop block and I'm going to set it at 3.5 inches. Then I can make repeated cuts and all of the boards will come out the same size. So I set this block right at 3.5 and I'm going to use a clamp to clamp down that stop block. So there you go, I've got my stop block set up. Now all I gotta do is bring the wood in to the stop block and cut, and I'll get 3.5 inch pieces each time. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna cut 14 pieces. Got all 14 pieces cut, and I've got my base. So now we're just basically playing Lincoln Logs, and we're gonna start building this thing up 2 at a time. 2 there. And I'm just gonna start building it up like this. These first 2 boards, I'm gonna have to glue the entire face of this onto here. And then from there, I just need glue on the ends of these to line up like that. Now as you're doing this, you just gotta be as straight as you can and take your time and make sure as you're building this up, you're keeping everything as straight as you can. As you start to glue these next pieces, you only need glue on the ends like that. I've now got all 14 pieces glued together like that. You'll notice that some of your edges are not perfect. I did the best that I could, and that's okay. We'll fix all that later and make those all even. The next step is I need to cut 2 more boards to fill in this gap right here. To measure those, and they are 2 inches. So I need to go cut 2 2-inch boards to finish the top here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue those and put those in. Okay, there we go. I gotta let this thing dry. So once you're that far, make sure you give it at least 10 minutes to dry. Given my project time to dry, so I'm ready to move on to the next step. We're gonna go back to the router table and we're gonna put a chamfered edge along the top here. So I've got my pencil holder pretty much built. So now the next few steps are just getting this thing sanded. So the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use a belt sander and I'm gonna sand all of these edges so that all of these become flush together. So I'm gonna clamp my project into one of these vices, and don't over tighten this or you're gonna squish your whole project. Just enough that it's holding it. And we're gonna get the belt sander and we're gonna sand this even. All right, get an extension cord, plug in your sander, and I'm just going like this on the edge of those edges until they're all even. Now I have every edge here where all those end grains were kind of rough and not quite even. They're all leveled up and even now. Okay, now the next step is to go through the palm sanding process. We're gonna do 120 on the whole thing. Then I'll wet the project down, let it dry, and then I'll sand again with 220 grit. Okay, I'm starting with 120 grit. And you wanna make sure you get every piece, even these little chamfered edges, keep everything nice and neat. And we're gonna give this whole thing a sanding. Here we go. Okay, I'm gonna let that dry, and then I'll come back and hit it with a 220 grit sandpaper. My project's had time to dry, so now I'm gonna sand with 220 grit sandpaper. Okay, there we go. Time to finish this up. At this point, you can decide if you want to use the torch and give this the torch look, or we can go natural. I already have a pencil holder that has the torched look done to it, so I'm going to leave this one natural. So now we just need to apply our mineral oil as our finish. All I'm doing is dipping this mineral oil in all four sides. And I'm just gonna let it all drip off. All right, there we go. Project's all finished up and looking pretty awesome. Be safe, be creative, have fun in the shop, and we'll see you on the next video.